Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Crazy Knitter Studio podcast. I'm your host, Kristen, also known as Crazy Knitting Fool, and I'm calling this episode Is There Supposed to Be Knitting? Because, spoiler alert, there's not much. So, first up, Presser, which is my weeks in review. So, the first episode I recorded on my birthday. Later on that night, my husband took my son and I out to dinner. It was nice. We just went to Applebee's, nothing fancy, but if I don't have to cook it, it's a good meal for me. So um, then, just had a good weekend, good birthday weekend. And then Tuesday the following week, I go to pick the little man up from summer camp, and the teacher says, I need to talk to you. That's never a good sign. Come to find out, he punched a kid in the face. And this would not, it's a big deal, but he had done this the last week of school. He had punched a kid in the face on the playground, and I don't know where this is coming from. Um, he's really been into Spider-Man the last 6 months or so, and that's when I've noticed some aggression with him starting. So, we talked to him obviously about how Spider-Man is not real and he can't do these things, but I think maybe there's some issues going on there. So we lost TV, iPad, Xbox privileges for a week, which meant for the long 4th of July weekend, we had no TV. And he did very well. He only asked once. He kept saying, I can't wait till Tuesday when I get to watch TV. I can't wait till Tuesday. But he didn't cry. He didn't whine. I think he knew we meant business. And I keep telling him every day when I drop him off at camp, like, the next time you want to hit somebody in the face, remember this. So hopefully it made an impression. We'll see. Last week was 4th of July, so I hope everybody here in America had a good 4th of July weekend, and I hope all of our Canuck friends had a good Canada Day. And for 4th of July weekend, we just kind of relaxed. We stayed at home, didn't really do much. We did go to the fireworks on the 4th here in a nearby town, and it was fun. It was little man's first time seeing fireworks, and I was a little afraid. He's not good with loud noises. I say I traumatized him in womb because we went to see The Dark Knight when I was 7 months pregnant with him in the theater, and he kicked every time there was an explosion, and I think we just kind of ruined him for loud noises. But he did really good. He thought it was awesome. The next day he was like, Mom, remember when we went to the fireworks yesterday? That was so cool. So I think he's very excited about it. And the one other big thing that happened was my family sold our house up in the Keweenaw, which is up in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. It's about a 12-hour drive from here. It had been in my family about 50 years. My grandparents built it when my grandfather retired from Ford, and that's where I spent my summers as a kid. 2 weeks every summer, every August. And, we've kept it in the family after my grandparents and my mom died. So it was hard. It was very emotional. The closing was actually on my mom's birthday, which was June 29th, which was very weird. But, and, it was hard. I didn't get to go up there. We went up there 2 years ago, and that was the year we put the house up on the market, and I decided that was going to be the last time we were going to go, and we didn't get to go last summer. We had to go to Atlanta. My husband's niece got married, so that took our vacation time and vacation funds, and I don't regret that. It was wonderful to go, and we had to go to her wedding, but, I'm kind of sad, but, at the same time, I had resolved myself to 2 years ago that was going to be the last time, and it's hard. I've cried a few times over it, but onward and upward, as they say. So we're going to have to find a new vacation tradition for our family. This year, we're thinking of going to Mackinac Island, and I haven't been since I was a little kid. My husband's never been, so it'll be interesting. I think Clark will like it with the horses. There's no cars. If you're not familiar with the island, there's no cars. It's a horse-drawn carriages a lot, and he'll think it's pretty cool. So, all right, moving on. Touchdown. FOs. Yeah, none. Sorry. Again, the title of this episode is They're Supposed to Be Knitting. So first down, which are the whips. I've only worked on the Spider-Man blanket. So here is the safety pin is where I left off. And that's all the knitting I got done. Not much. So again, this is the Spider-Man blanket by Ann M. Size 8 needles, and the yarn is Red Heart Supersaver in cherry red and royal, and then Karen Simply Soft in black. It's for my son, Spider-Man's obsession. You can see my co-host back here. He's a strong silent type, so don't expect much out of him. He doesn't knit, but so there is a turnover, which is a mistake on this blanket. Somehow, not sure what happened, but the increases, so you can see here's where the increases are. They're supposed to line up nicely. I don't know if you can really see it, but you can kind of, right here in the red, you can see it pretty well. And that's where you go when you crochet the black up, and that's the webbing on the blanket. Well, in the blue section, I noticed the increases got all moved over. I don't know. I got offline somehow. And yeah, it's gonna drive me crazy. So I'm gonna have to rip it back. I'm gonna be ripping back the blue all the way back to the red, or maybe the black, because the beginning of the blue section is okay. So I don't know what happened, but such is life. So we will be ripping that back later on this evening as I start knitting again. All right, training camp, which are future projects. I still want to start the girlfriend market bags. Haven't started those yet. I have the yarn and the needles and everything ready. The pattern printed, but haven't started it yet. The other thing that I want to make is the Cassiopeia Square Bag by Julia Weiss. And I saw this on the Dancing Geek podcast with James, and I thought it was really cool. So here it is. It's the Sheldon pattern. I made a Sheldon. It's a little stuffed turtle from Knitty, probably 2006, maybe even earlier. It's a pattern for a little turtle, and I made one for Clark for Christmas a couple years ago. More than a couple years ago, he's probably 2. And it takes that pattern for his shell and puts it on a bag. So I thought it was really cute. I'm going to make it probably in black for the contrast color, and then I'm going to use this yarn, which is Nurturing Fibers Super Twist Sock. I don't know what color it is. It's yellow, orange, green. I won this in a contest at the Shinybees podcast, so that's going to be the main color. So I'll get that started, maybe sometime. We'll see. The other thing is, a few years ago, I made a shawl. I called it my Suck It shawl. The shawl is called Anonymous Vampire, and it's by Julia Weiss. Oh no, that's the Cassiopeia bag. Can't remember who this designer is. Oh, Terry Cruz, Kruse. I made this 2 years ago, and it's very small. It is a shawlette, but I tried to block it bigger, and it didn't really work very well. So I'm going to rip out the bind off and make it longer. I have more of the yarn I used. I just used a mystery yarn I picked up at Knitopia a few years ago. Tina from the Knitting Blooms podcast puts on the retreat every year, and I went a few years ago, and she always has like a bring, your stuff that you just want to get rid of. And I found this yarn on the table. It's just a red mystery wool. It's kind of scratchy, but it did soften when I blocked it, or when I soaked it to block it. So hopefully it'll work. So I want to do that because I've never worn it. And even though I am a process knitter and I knit to knit, I still would like to wear it. And it's way too small, and I don't think I can even try blocking it bigger. So I have the yarn. I just need to take the time to bind it, or undo the bind off, which apparently I weave in my ends very, very well because I cannot for the life of me find the ends in the shawl. So I need to start looking again, maybe take it to knitting group and see if somebody else can find it because I'm having difficulties. And I'm like, well, apparently I don't have to worry about my stuff coming undone because I weave in my ends pretty good. All right, so those are my training camp future projects. So next up are concessions. And I told you before I wouldn't have much for you in this segment, but I bought more yarn today. Just more yarn for the Spider-Man blanket. Not exciting. Cherry Red, Royal, Joann's Red Heart Supersaver. I had a 30% off coupon. And I'm going to go on a bit of a rant about Joann's.com. So I ordered online because the yarn was on sale online and I had a shipping coupon. I think it was $2 flat rate shipping. So I probably paid in shipping what I saved on the yarn and on the sale, but I hate going shopping. Even for yarn, I'm not a shopper. I don't like it. I figured, hey, this will save me from having to go to the store. So I placed the order Wednesday. And today's Saturday. Did I say today's Saturday, July 11th? I don't know if I did or not. But it's Saturday, July 11th. Happy 7-Eleven day. Hope you got your free Slurpee. Anyway, I placed the order on Wednesday. It's now Saturday. It still hasn't shipped. Okay. It's 2 balls of yarn. Takes how long to grab off a shelf? I used to work for a company. We did shipping. I mean, if I had told my customers, yeah, I got 2 bars of steel that I just have to pull off a shelf and it's going to take me 4 days to ship it to you, then you know what would have hit the fan. So, I don't know. I tried to cancel the order, so apparently you can't cancel it, so I'm just waiting for it to show up and it's going back. So, that's my little rant about Joann's. But the main exciting news for this week was I got a new car. Here she is. Can't really see her very well. I call her Big Bertha. She's a Cadillac STS, a 2008. I buy used cars. I drive maybe 110 miles a week. I don't need a new car. Brand new car. So we will take some of the money from the house and put it towards that. So she's awesome. She is remote start, keyless start. My son loves her. He doesn't want to drive in my husband's car anymore. He told me, Daddy's car is old. So my husband didn't like that. My husband's a little jealous, I think. He says he's not, but he keeps wanting to drive it. Like they drove it today. They went to Muskegon, which is on the west side of the state, to visit my stepdaughters and my step-grandchildren. I have 4 step-grandsons who are 6, almost 5, almost 4, and 6 months old. So they're out visiting them. So I'm home alone. Yay! So they took that today. He said, oh, I have to take it on Thursday to get the oil changed to make sure that, that there's oil and I know that there's new oil in there. Okay, whatever, honey. And I won't have time to drop it off to you at work because we only work about 1.5 miles apart, which is nice. But it's like, okay, honey, whatever. He's jealous. He just won't admit it. But, yeah, it's nice. I had a 2002 Maxima before this, Nissan Maxima. And she was a good car. She's got like 220,000 miles on her. But she was getting old and she needed new tires. And there was a slow leak in the power steering system. So there was times when I had tendonitis in my right shoulder. And it would kill me because I couldn't turn the steering wheel. So it got to the point where we were going to have to put more money in her than was worth. So we got a new one. She's awesome. I love her. I call her Big Bertha because I always think cars are girls. I don't know why. I just always have. And Cadillacs are like a grandpa car. So I call her Big Bertha because Bertha's an old lady's name. So sorry to all the Berthas out there, but that's what I think of. So that was my big purchase of the week. But it was awesome. So moving on to the film room, which are what I'm watching, reading, etc. So since I recorded, I finished The Wicked Girls by Alex Marwood. It was a pretty good book. It was about these two girls who were convicted of murder at age 11. And they kind of, it takes place in England, and they kind of become, you know, like the Charles Manson of England. Like they're really reviled and everybody hates them. And they get out on parole and they change their names and they live new lives. And one becomes a journalist and the other one is working at this seaside resort at the amusement park there, and is all of a sudden there's a serial killer who starts killing all these girls, and they meet up because after all these 25 years, because the one's investigating the murders, and the one girl is working at the amusement park where a couple of the victims have been found, and so, and it goes flashbacks to what happened the day that they meet and then murder this little girl. It was pretty good. So, and then I finished Everything I Never Told You by Celeste. I believe you pronounce it Ning. It's Ng. And this is about a family in Ohio in the 1970s. Um, the father is Chinese and the mother is white, and they have 3 children. And their middle child is a daughter, and she is the chosen child. She is the hope. The mom had wanted to be a doctor and gave that up to have a family, and now is pushing her daughter to be a doctor, and her daughter just loves her mom and just agrees to whatever her mom wants, and the daughter ends up dying. And so it's told a lot through flashbacks going back to when the parents met and got married, and just things that happened. And it was very good. It's not really a mystery, because you kind of know what happened to the daughter from the beginning, but it's more, the story of, this family, and, just the hard times and that they went through even before the daughter was born. They were kind of dysfunctional, and then daughter was born. I mean, the daughter died. They were dysfunctional. So, and now I am reading by Philippa Gregory, The King's Curse, which is book 6, verse 7 of the Cousins' War, which is the war between the House of York and the House of Tudor, or the War of the Roses. And this tells the story of Margaret Pole, and she and her husband she was cousin to Queen Elizabeth, who was the mother of King Henry VIII, and she and her husband were the guardian of Prince Arthur, who was married to Queen Catherine, who was the first wife of King Henry VIII. She married him after his older brother died, and he became the Prince of Wales. And it tells the story from her perspective. She, it's pretty good. I'm only about 60 pages in so far. It's a big one. It's like 612 pages. Biggest book I've read in a while, but it's pretty good. I like Philippa Gregory's stuff. I don't know how historically accurate it is, but I love this time frame. I always have, ever since I was a little kid. I always did, whenever we would have to do projects on people, I'd always pick Queen Elizabeth II. When I was younger, my dad's side of the family is from England, and I always thought, I remember I was 5 when Prince Charles and Princess Di got married, and I did not understand that not everyone from England is royalty. So our family is from England, so therefore we were royalty, therefore we were supposed to be at the wedding. quite get through my head that no, that's not the case. But so I've always loved that, and I love that time period. One of my favorite TV shows, again, I know is not historically accurate at all, is Reign, which is on the CW, and it's Mary Queen of Scots when she was married to the King of France, Francis. Again, definitely not historically accurate, but good, cheesy fun. And the dresses are awesome. So, I love that time period. So. Moving on to television, I am way behind still. Still trying to watch season finales of shows. Haven't really watched much lately. I did watch two things. So I watched the first episode of the new season of Extant, which is with Halle Berry. And Goran, I will not even attempt to say his last name, but if you used to watch ER, he was Luca. Very good looking man. Some eye candy on the show. And I'm not sure about it. It's the second season, like I said. It's Halle Berry's character is an astronaut, and she goes to outer space by herself for, I think, a year. It was 6 months or a year. And she ends up being impregnated by this alien being and bringing it back to Earth. And her husband's a scientist, and he's created these beings called humanics, which they're robots, but they're human. They're like half robot, half human. It's kind of weird. And their son is one of them. And I don't really get where these two stories. It seems like they're two separate stories, and I don't know where they come together. And watching the first episode, I don't want to spoil anything, but she's in a mental institution. I don't know. It might have jumped the shark. But I just watched the first episode. Second episode was Wednesday night. I haven't watched it yet, but we'll see. And then I watched the pilot of Scream, the TV series on MTV, which I'm like, oh, geez, I'm 39 years old and I'm watching MTV again, but whatever. So it's not the same characters. It's the same basic premise as the Scream movies, where there's this murder and, somebody's killing these kids in this town and nobody knows why, and it might be connected, seems to be connected to a murder that took place 20 years ago, but it's not the same characters. It's just kind of the same basic premise. It was all right. The acting was a little cheesy, but, what can you say? Not bad. So, now we're going into the post game, which is a wrap-up. So, as I said in my last episode, I have a contest going on for a $10 pattern or patterns up to $10 on Ravelry. All you have to do is leave a comment here on the blog, or in the Ravelry group, or on YouTube. I got one on Instagram, so I guess if you leave one on Instagram too, I'll put you in the contest. So right now I have 3 people. Come on, people, let's get moving. Comment. I know that there's been a couple people who have joined the group. Comment, okay? But, so that will run through the end of July, beginning of, I think I'm going to do it because my first episode in August, I think, is going to be like the 8th. So maybe I'll run it through then. Yeah, we'll run it through August 8th. So any comments between now or previously and August 8th, I'm going to do the old-fashioned, write everybody's name on a piece of paper, put them in a hat, and draw them out. And you'll win $10 pattern or patterns up to $10 on Ravelry. So where you can find me on Ravelry, I am CrazyKnittingFool. Twitter is CrazyKnitFool. Instagram, I am Kristen McCain. I'm thinking of changing that so everything matches. The blog is crazyknitterstudio.blogspot.com. The email is crazyknitterstudio@gmail.com. The Ravelry group is Crazy Knitter Studio. So that's all the places where you can find me. And they're all linked in the show notes on the blog. And I think I'm going to start putting the show notes in the Ravelry group too. So we'll, yeah, I'm going to do that. Be easier that way. So I'll record again in 2 weeks. So it's going to be July 25th or 26th. I will be recording on Saturdays or Sundays. I just don't have the mental energy at the end of the day during the week. By the time I get home, cook dinner, we eat, little man has a shower, or we do bed and books and everything and get him to sleep, it's 9 o'clock and my brain is mush. So there's not going to be any recording during the week unless I happen to take a day off and maybe feel like it. But I don't see that happening. Because if I take a day off, because little man's sick or I'm sick, I don't really take much time and just hang out around the house by myself. So it'll be July 25th or 26th. So I'll be recording on Saturdays or Sundays, just depending on how the week goes. And that's it. So I hope you all have a good 2 weeks, and I will talk to you then. Thanks. Sorry about that. Bye.